I'm Ashton from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Jonathan Schemoul, CEO of Aleph.im. Jonathan, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Hello, really happy to come here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. I'm excited to dive into Aleph and cloud storage, databases on the blockchain, the future, as we both know. And I would love for you to kick us off explaining a little bit about Aleph and the blockchain solutions that your team is providing, because for people that are just getting into crypto, it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3, but it is needed, I think, as we continue to grow out the web. So let's kick off our conversation with just a high-level overview of Aleph.im to start, and then we'll dive into the details.
Yeah, perfect. So as you just said, it's really needed because most of the solutions that we see out there, some of them still have centralized parts. We have seen a few cases where DeFi wasn't really decentralized, and that's where we come in. We provide decentralized storage as in file storage, which is really important for the front end, unlike for assets and things like that. But also we also provide that we also provide a decentralized database, because if you look at websites, most of the websites are just databases. So if you want to make a social network or whatever, you need a database. If you want to store user data, profiles, etc., you need a database. And then on top of that, we are also providing computing, not as in CPU intensive tasks like a few other projects are doing, but more like on-demand computing, a bit like Amazon Lambda. For those more in the know, it's like micro virtual machine. When you need a resource, you call it from the network, it will find a server that will run your request, run it and get you a result back. Thanks to that, we did some indexing on Solana and a few other blockchains, and we can also decentralize the backend of any DeFi application that still has centralized parts. The Aleph.im project is not a blockchain. It's a peer-to-peer network that talks languages of blockchains, accept messages signed by your wallet, be it MetaMask on Ethereum, Phantom on Solana, or whatever others on Polkadot, Cosmos, etc. And then we will go and read and write data on the blockchain as needed.
Very cool. Thanks for that intro, Jonathan. And I'm trying to piece together, from a newbie perspective into cryptocurrency. You mentioned there file storage, but you also mentioned cloud computing. And what I think is, sort of like a Dropbox in terms of file storage, except for Dropbox could delete your files or delete your account in a centralized way, and Amazon for hosting or storing your website or a database of the files of your website. And if you have a social media platform that says the wrong thing, and then Amazon could delete your website completely. So is that correct, that those two areas are what you're focusing on, and trying to bring the principles of decentralization or peer-to-peer networks into those to help stop any issues?
Yeah, into those, but not only. We are also helping applications that are seen as decentralized, but that aren't really decentralized. If the DApp that you're using has only one front end hosted by them, and that front end uses a backend for database, indexing, and things like that, and it's not only interacting with smart contracts, but also with a server, then you are at risk, because if that the app decides that you are in a country that they don't want to serve, then you are out of luck, because you won't even be able to just use their smart contract. You would need their front end and back end, etc. So what we are offering is to decentralize it, and it's a win-win situation even for the app developers, because then they don't need to care about who they are servicing in what country, etc. And then they just put it on a decentralized network. If there are servers that are in location that accepts you, okay. If not, then other server can just take on service you.
Incredible. And yeah, it's definitely a turning point. I'm seeing that more people are looking for alternative solutions to be able to control their own assets and not have somebody say who can or cannot use their platform. But I feel like the amount of companies and databases that are decentralized are so small compared to the entire internet that's still running on Amazon and Web 2. Can you talk about where you see the industry as a whole at this point into moving into decentralization and the need for it?
Well, we have worked with Ubisoft lately, as some people might know. We are in their incubation program, which is the Ubisoft Entrepreneur Labs, into the last session of 2021. We have worked with them in a lot of areas, and we have seen also other big corporations who are getting interested by decentralization. Well, it starts with NFT, it starts with areas which are easily made into decentralization, but then it gets more deep because they all have a lot of servers that they aren't using or that they are keeping because they need to have servers on hand, especially with the shortage in chips and things like that lately. So they have a lot of server. They don't want to lose money with it, so they could put it onto decentralized network. And then when they have surge of requests or computing of storage that they can't provide with their own infrastructure, they would like to be able to outsource it whenever it's needed to a decentralized network, which is not controlled by a single company in another country. So I think that it's quite interesting for a lot of multinationals. So we will go into that way, and not only from the very little crypto specific area. I think that the whole world is moving towards it. And it's something that will get a lot of people by a bit of surprise. It won't only be money, it will be all the big companies, all the big computing, storage consumers that are moving to decentralized networks.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And how long has your team been working on this platform now? And are you seeing an increase in growth and adoption of this kind of technology?
Well, we started in 2019. It's been quite a long road since then. From start of 2019 towards now. At start, we were totally self-funded. I was the only one working full-time, and then other members of my team who were working as open source contributors joined full-time, and then we got funding. We just raised a $10 million round lately. We are seeing a lot of growth. We are working with more and more companies and projects. In the Solana ecosystem alone, we are working with more than 20 projects at the moment. We are working with companies like Ubisoft and a few others as well. Mm-hmm. We will release soon a decentralized identity framework with our partner Synapse. And there is quite a lot of other areas. So there is a lot of traction. It's a really, I think that it's not really beginner proof. It's hard to grasp where the decentralized computing and storage world is going, but I think that it's like an essential cornerstone of decentralization and an essential cornerstone of the web in a few years, and we are working towards it right now.
Mm-hmm, definitely. No, I think it's a huge cornerstone, and it's essentially the entire infrastructure of how websites are on the web, right? And I think that's going to change. But under the hood, regular users don't necessarily need to understand the differences. They just need to understand the benefits of the innovation. Because it does get very technical, especially even just trying to explain Amazon Web Services to people. You need to go through a year-long course just to explain how to host a website. So I can imagine the decentralized version is even more complex. And it is quite complex and not necessarily needed to be 100% understood by the everyday user that's visiting the websites, but as long as they understand the benefits of the peer-to-peer network, and there definitely are benefits. But one thing I know cryptocurrency users understand is crypto coins themselves, and I'd love to touch on how that functions inside of Aleph as well. I know that there is an Aleph token, and maybe you can explain a little bit on how the token and how cryptocurrencies function within the ecosystem, and do they provide value to everyone in the ecosystem?
Well, the way our network works is that we have different kind of nodes. We have the core channel nodes, which are the controllers of the network, who are validating that resource providers are really doing their job. And they are also validating that messages have indeed been signed by a private key, that they come from a specific blockchain, etc. And these nodes need to have skin in the game, so they need a deposit, and they also need stakers to come and say, okay, this node is worth to be starting, he's secure, etc. And then they entrust it by staking Aleph tokens on it. And like once it has enough, it can start. And then those nodes also have another task, which is entrusting resource nodes, which are those that are really doing their job. And those that are doing the job, for example, the computing resource nodes that we just started last month, they are akin to like Amazon Lambda runners. They are those that are running the micro virtual machine that are running code. They have what we call a minimum wage. Minimum wage means that as long as the server is like launched, they get paid. On the core channel node, they can appoint a specific number of computing resource node to work on get this minimum wage. So then on the demand side, there is two ways to pay for service. One, which is live today, which is the holder tier, where you hold Aleph tokens and you get service, be it storage or computing. And there is one that we will start later this year, which is a pay-as-you-go, which is akin to like cloud computing credits that you would buy. And then you consume Aleph credit while you are getting service. So basically, it's the currency of the network. It's the currency that allows you to get computing and storage on the network. If you want to like back up your NFT, store your files, pay for computing, you need Aleph tokens.
Interesting. And what you mentioned about the NFTs there, I think a lot of people don't think, they think, oh, just websites, but if there's personal storage or whatever, you can also host your NFTs. Now, you mentioned you're working on pay-as-you-go. You also mentioned that your team just raised another round of capital. I'm curious, looking forward, with that capital in the bag, what are the main goals throughout 2022 that Aleph is looking to try and accomplish to lower the barriers to entry, to get more people using peer-to-peer cloud storage, and to bring Web 2 to Web 3?
Well, we have the decentralized identity that is coming in a few months with our partner Synapse. This is quite a big step for us because it will allow you to like link your identity to your decentralized cloud identity, which can then be used for a lot of actions on-chain and off-chain. And then we might see social networks built on the Aleph.im infrastructure. All this linked with newer wallets, which are more user-friendly, could get you a great ecosystem, and you could even go into centralized finance or like exchanges and just log in with your Aleph account and get in because you already did your KYC once, and then reuse it and only share what you want with that exchange, for example. And then our goal is to decentralize as much as we can for the whole Web3 stack. We don't want to see semi-centralized services anymore. So we are trying to get all of them on board. And what we did for Solana, which is indexing of the Solana blockchain, gets us a foot in the door. And then projects can see that they can decentralize part of this, part of their stack, and then they can decentralize the rest. And we will go and do the same on Ethereum, Polygon, Near, Tezos, and a lot of our blockchains as well.
I'm glad that you mentioned the decentralized identity there as well, and I think that's a huge something that is holding us back right now. You know, I don't want to log in with Google or log in with Facebook, and then all of a sudden your Facebook is deleted or banned, and all of your accounts are disappeared. Or even just having to go to each website and platform and exchange and make a different account and then do KYC again and again and again when you could be logging in with a Web3 login that also protects your information, keeps it on the blockchain. So definitely looking forward to that, Jonathan. Thank you for that information. And for the viewers and for people that want to learn more about decentralized cloud storage and peer-to-peer networks, and maybe they want to start hosting on Web3, what is the best way for them to learn more and to get involved?
Well, we have a website, Aleph.im. We also have a Twitter account. We are very present on Telegram as well, so they can join our Telegram groups. If they are developers, we will redirect them to developer specific groups and give them support. We also have a developer landing page that has a lot of information, and there is a few YouTubers who did a few YouTube series on Aleph if they prefer to learn that way.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I will leave those links as well to the website and to the social networks in the description box below. All the best with everything Web3 moving forward. I'm looking forward to logging in with your decentralized identity in the future, and let's definitely follow up in the near future. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much as well.